Okay, here we go. Buckle up. Now, toy industry giant Hasbro created a controversy. Why? Today, after they announced they are rebranding their iconic Mr. Potato Head toy, I even had one as a kid, now to just Potato Head. Why? To be more inclusive. But following some confusion and backlash, Hasbro tweeted, quote, Mr. Potato Head isn't going anywhere, while the Potato Head brand name and logo are dropping. The Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head aren't going anywhere and will remain Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. Okay. Find that confusing? I do. Here with reaction, the guy to straighten it all out, Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera, and Fox News contributor, both friends of the program, Dan Bongino. You know what, Geraldo? I'm going to let Dan have the first crack at this. I'm going to let people wait for what you have to say, because I can only imagine.
Listen, I thought, Sean, it was a story about a certain show on CNN, but it's not. So we'll move on from that. But
no, that's the head of CNN. You got you're talking about it's Humpty Dumpty, the other guy. You got to get these things that are right.
Some of you got the joke there. Yeah. Listen, this is all right. This story is kind of dopey. We all get it. But the reality is, the left is engaged in the weaponization of language for a long time. And they do it for a reason. Even though this is kind of a silly example. When you look at something like, I know something Geraldo and I have debated about often on the show, the use of the term, for instance, undocumented immigrant versus illegal immigrant. Well, why don't you have documents? Why are you undocumented? Because you're in the country illegally. And the left weaponizes language to do what I call otherization. In other words, if you dare use a term they don't approve of that's factually accurate, like illegal immigrant, an immigrant to the country here illegally, they immediately want to paint you as some kind of a bigot or xenophobe. So it makes it convenient. I call it otherization. Like those other guys, they did that, those awful Republicans. They do this all the time. That's why they play the euphemism game, too, with things like Spygate. Trump team wasn't spied on. It was an undocumented surveillance. I mean, you don't say that when someone illegally enters your house. Sir, this is an undocumented entry. Like, nobody does that, right? This is a scam the left pulls on us all the time, and we shouldn't fall for it.
All right, Geraldo.
Illegal immigrant presupposes that adjudication has been made. Legal, illegal. You only get to be illegal when an adjudication is made. So when you call someone presumptively illegal, and usually it's coupled with alien, illegal alien, not only do you make the judgment that the person is there illegally, as if you were the judge in an immigration court, but now he's also an alien. So what's an alien to most people? An alien comes from Mars. An alien is something remote to my life.
This is
illegal. Alien
really,
is a
Geraldo.
horrible thing. You dehumanize.
So you think the word alien means we're saying you come from Mars? No, it is a legal definition. Yes. It has been statutory language going back for decades and decades.
Now, it is,
Geraldo,
Sean,
listen,
and
you
know
just
it's a trigger word. It's a trigger. I think the left goes too far, like with gender-neutral.
All right, Geraldo.
I think the left goes too far with like gender-neutral pronouns instead of she, her, he, him. It's they, them. So I love they. I love them. They went to the store instead of she or he went to the store. That's going way too far. But pro-abortion and pro-choice are not synonymous. Pro-choice doesn't mean you're pro-abortion necessarily. It's a complicated issue that the woman has to determine for herself. And so pro-choice is a much better expression of what happens than pro-abortion. It's much more limiting. I think that words can be weaponized, and I think we really have to,
Listen,
seriously pay attention.
I want to be respectful of all people, and I'm willing to address anybody any way they wish to be addressed. It's up to them. That's their choice. We're also, in this case, we're talking about children. This is children's toys. Up to a certain age, values should be instilled by mommy and daddy or whoever your parents are, your guardians are. That's who should be instilling values. You get them at home, you get them at church, and later on, I guess schools will give it to you whether you want it or not, Dan Bongino.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what most sensible people in a constitutional republic would think, too, that we want to keep the family unit intact and get our values from there, not from government bureaucrats who've never met you in your entire life. But think about it. Like what Geraldo just said is just, it's crazy. You know, he says, well, you know, I get it with all this other gender terminology stuff, but, you know, the other stuff is okay. I mean, it is pro-choice. No, that's crazy. Like a child is not a choice. That's just not how we feel. If you support abortion, you are pro-abortion. Don't lawyer the thing to death. And on the illegal alien terminology, Geraldo, no sane person thinks an illegal alien refers to like Alf from the 1980s, you know, sitcom. Don't be ridiculous. That's just silly. It makes you look silly first. And secondly, no, saying someone engaged in illegal activity means they engaged in illegal activity. It doesn't have to be adjudicated. When someone breaks into your house, it's an illegal entry. If they're convicted later, they're a convicted burglar. You're a lawyer. You don't understand the difference? I mean, come on. You see someone jaywalking,
I know when someone
it's
is
an
in
illegal activity.
when someone is in the country without authorization, unauthorized and undocumented are different than illegal. Illegal is someone that
unauthorized?
a judge has said.
Why is it unauthorized?
You've been found guilty.
Unauthorized?
Geraldo, you're splitting hairs.
Why is it unauthorized?
You're playing verbal gymnastics here.
No, but
the bottom line
words,
is, if you enter this country, if you enter this country without permission, if you don't follow the laws, the process, respect our borders and sovereignty, you're here illegally.
I was on Celebrity Apprentice the last season. I was on Celebrity Apprentice with, of course, Donald Trump, the host. So he said, "Okay, you have to." I was the captain for one of the tasks.
Yeah, I was the one that came with the pile of cash. Yeah, I was the one that came in.
Yeah, that's right. You dug that money up from the backyard for me. You gave me 10 large right there on the spot. So anyway, I named my team Vortex. Vortex, like polar vortex. Trump looks at me. Pre-President Trump, Donald Trump, looks at me and says, "Vortex? What is that? One of those liberal what kind of word is that? What's a vortex? You mean the weather? So say weather, don't say vortex, polar vortex. You know, so I know that words matter. And I know that some words trigger people. And I know that the left goes overboard very often with language, very flamboyant.
But I got to get this out. You really don't believe when people say illegal alien that people are saying, well, we think you're from Mars. You're not saying that, right?
I think when you use the expression illegal alien, you are trying to make people think negatively of that person who's come across without documentation.
You're just stating a fact.
You're setting the agenda.
Stating a fact.
Now it's illegal alien.
In the country.
You got to dig your way out of that hole. They're not authorized to be in the country
because there's a law they broke. Hence, being in the country illegally. This is not hard. Stop lawyering this stuff to death. You lose this debate tonight. Sorry. I'm declaring a win. 1-0. Dan Bongino.
All right. We'll leave it there. But a good night. It's over.